Last orders at the bar.
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hi everybody. Here we are back for another Last Orders. We're late and slightly gay with this one because this is a week late.
Late and very gay, I'll have you know.
Yeah, just embrace it, I think. I've got the shirt for it as well. I'm sorry that it took us an extra week to get past this, but Mauler was doing the 24-hour EFAP challenge last weekend. And so, yeah, you were in no condition on Sunday night to be doing a Last Orders stream, so it felt
But
like
I am alive.
That's you did make it. You survived it. I survived being called a dingbat. You know, we all made it. We all had our own battles to fight.
There's a video that got shared. That guy was doing another stream, and his mum came in and she was yelling at him because he was eating food out of the cooking pot instead of a plate. And then she shoved his laptop down. And that, if you know, like laptops don't just close everything off when you do that. Certain ones anyway. So you could just hear him being like, "Hey, you ruined my stream."
Literally 10 people were furious at having the stream cut off like that. That guy sounds like an absolute winner in life. I am proud of him. Yeah, it takes a guy like that to destroy my career. So I'm glad I finally met a worthy adversary. So I'm pleased.
Yes.
Anyway, well, we are here to do the outstanding super chats from Open Bar 154. Like I say, we're one behind. So just to clear up any confusion there, this is Open Bar 154 Last Orders. And I'm going to dive right in right now. The first one is from Eatman, who says, "You're an ex-Oscar winner stuck on Aliens Earth. How do you fix the show before it tanks your career? What moves do you make to stage a mutiny?" Yeah, I would just leave the set and not come back. I think you can sue me if you want. I just don't want to be in this show anymore.
That would be interesting. So you can get out of it contractually. Just have a really good lawyer at that point, right?
I think so. There's probably ways you could say like, "Oh, I'm depressed," or "I've got like severe back pain or something." It's like I just can't work. I really want to, but I can't. What can I do?
What a shame.
I think we discussed this, didn't we, on the last Open Bar? I'm kind of just checked out of Alien Earth. I just don't care. I don't care to watch it. I feel like it's a waste of my time.
I'll see it through, but man, you know, just what a fail. Just absolutely. I wonder if Romulus would have been seen as much of a failure if it came out in pieces, so people had more time to sort of think about all of it, because it was just so well critically acclaimed, and then it just disappeared, you know?
Yeah.
Do
you think they're going through the stages of grief with it as well? Like it was getting like showered with praise at the time, and then gradually people's impression of it is soured. Or do you think they still hold it up as being amazing?
Well, you know, first episode of Alien Earth seems to play somewhat well. Second episode was like, oh, and then third episode is like, and now fourth, nobody's mentioning it. It's just dead.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened? Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's what happens when your show is awful.
I'm getting less and less tolerant with TV shows. Like movies I can handle because it's like, well, it's 2 hours of my life. You know, it's like a show could potentially be 10 hours of your time. And, you know, we were talking about things like Peacemaker Season 2. I just don't want to. I don't want to watch it. I can't be bothered. And I just can't summon up any enthusiasm to watch it. So I'm just like, I'm not wasting 10 hours of my fucking life watching that show.
Yeah.
But no one seems to care about it anyway. The only thing I've heard about it is there's a big orgy.
I've heard about that.
Episode 1. And then nobody mentioned anything else about it beyond that. Like, okay. If that's the one thing that stands out about it.
I saw a tweet where James Gunn said, "Get ready for some really big cameos at the end of the show." So make sure you tuned in, Drinky. You don't want to miss that.
So I could just skip right to the last 5 minutes of the final episode and just get the cameos.
I'm sure you won't even need to watch it because someone on Twitter will post it. Oh my God, I can't believe person was in episode. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Do you think the people involved are going to be like people that James Gunn knows personally by any chance?
That's a crazy theory you have there.
It's going to be his brother there as Max Lord or something. Like, oh my God, who could have predicted this one?
Who could have predicted it?
Dutch Gradient says, "Hail panel, before they dove headfirst into the MCU, the Disney Channel was airing what I think was a superior comic book adaptation to X-Men 97, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Spectacular show." So apparently, yeah, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I'm guessing that was an animated show. I never really watched it, but...
No, none of that.
Yeah. English Batchers says, Gina was in Star Wars Starfighter. Or is in Star Wars Starfighter. Could that save Star Wars? It would sure generate a lot of goodwill. No, that wouldn't save Star Wars in the slightest. It might make a few people happy, but it's not.
We've said at this point you probably need 3 great movies to get Star Wars back, and there's no way that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't even know what the draw is of Star Wars Starfighter.
No.
I don't know what people are meant to get excited about for it. Rusty says, Superman pitch meeting came out today, and in the comments somebody said, this movie is so good and self-aware that it pretty much immune to ridicule. I imagine they typed that out while eating a handful of crayons. I mean, it seems to be like it's just, again, more of the Superman cope. It's just hilarious how hard they're coping over this movie. People desperately needed that to be a success.
I saw a tweet today that was like, it's blown past 610 million. I was like, why are you reporting on 610? Like, it's 600 fine, but like 600, you guys get a little desperate. You're reporting 611 and 12 as it passes each day. It's just like, God, give up.
That's what we're down to. It's making literally tens of dollars in each cinema. I mean, who the fuck's even watching it at this point? Why? Is it just like, I've literally nothing better to do today? I'm just going to see Superman, I guess.
Well, as we know, the Rebirth drank its milkshake ultimately. That's how that works. If you really want to have that fight, you know, it's like, beat out Fantastic Four. It's like, okay, but both of them were beat out by Rebirth, so...
Yeah. The most unworthy of winners. Canon Falderall says, a customer, paraphrasing Luthen to Dis/Dedra, the IPs have flown away. There's a whole galaxy of indies and classics out there to bankrupt you. There should be. Yeah, man. It's bad times. Thumbs up. 1981 says, do Gary and Drinker remember the time before the prequels when the OT was considered up there with the greatest, quoted like Taxi Driver or Godfather? Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty well regarded, isn't it? If anything, I think because of all the shit that's happened, the OT is like raised in people's minds.
Yeah.
You know, they regard it even better because it's like, the one time when Star Wars was actually amazing and everyone just universally praised it. Ever since then, it's been on a downward slope. The Batman guy says, didn't Disney just settle with Gina Carano for their mess up? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they issued about the closest thing they were ever going to do to an apology, and they claim they want to work with her again. We'll see if that happens. But
well, yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. Anxiety says, good day to the bar. Sorry if this brings down the mood, but I was wondering if I could get some love for my dog Gizmo, who sadly had to be put down after being hit by an asshole in their truck when I got back home last Sunday. Fuck, I'm sorry, man. And I'm sorry you've had to wait so long to hear us talk about this, but yeah, losing a dog absolutely fucking sucks. And I'm particularly sorry that it was some dick who ran it over. So, yeah, I'm sorry, man. Orange Soda says, Star Wars games have better storytelling than any of the movies, especially in the 2000s. The story in Knights of the Old Republic is better than the OT. You just need good writing. I've heard good things about it. I've never played Knights of the Old Republic, but people still rave about it to this day.
Yeah.
Ali Mac says, Mel Brooks made one of the best Star Wars movies. It was good fun back in the day.
Yeah.
Can he repeat it, though? The Batman guy says, did you hear Prime is doing a live-action God of War? What do you think? Pedro Pascal as Kratos and Bella Ramsey as Atreus? I think they could pull that off.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Would be through the roof.
we're just fucked. The idea of like it would be good is like, nah, it's gonna be bad. Whatever they do, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Revan says, apparently the Birdman has the box office all figured out. Have you seen what he said about merchandising making its own budget back and how the rule of thumb for box office success is BS? Yay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure the Birdman's got some amazing takes on all this, and I would definitely listen to everything he has to say. That guy switched on. Jeremy Soden says, currently being hunted by a xenomorph through Alien Isolation. My vote is for Alien. I love them both. Excellent stuff. And yeah, I think we had the big discussion on the day, like which movie's better, Alien or Aliens?
Yeah.
I think you put up a good argument for Aliens, but I think I came down on the side of Alien ultimately.
Well, I didn't even. I concede like Alien probably is from like a craftsmanship point of view the winner for filmmaking, but Alien's script, I stand by this, is one of the best that's ever been written. It is ridiculously dense with setup payoff characters. I sort of see it in the same realm as Hot Fuzz, and then you'd be like, so better than Alien? I'd be like, well, yeah, but Alien does other things. It's does other things better than any other film ever. Alien's like, well, possibly the quintessential greatest horror movie ever made. But, there's some other candidates, like The Thing, like The Fly, like The Descent. I still would argue that's one of the greatest horror movies ever made as well.
It's a lot of fun, The Descent. It was really fun when we talked to the director of that, actually.
Yeah.
You can go to Mahler's channel and see it.
We watched the film with him and talked about it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Dutch Gradient says, Alien is not sci-fi, it's horror set in the future. If you set the story on the age of sail and made the alien a demon or any other kind of monster, you'd have the same story. That is true, yes. It just uses sci-fi as a backdrop.
Did they start that with saying it's not horror, it's sci-fi?
No, the other way around.
Oh, well, it's both.
Yeah, but I think the point he's making is like, this doesn't rely too heavily on sci-fi. It could just be, as he's saying there, this could be just as easily the crew of like a tanker or something, or a sailing ship that lands on an island, finds a monster, it starts killing people.
That's how genre works. That is what decides it. They're in space. They're a spacefaring sort of thing. So they're so far out from
they're
Earth.
Truckers, basically. Like that's how they describe.
Yeah, that's
them.
how people
truck drivers in
refer to
space.
It.
Yeah,
but like it is like sci-fi elements are important about it, right? It's a distant part of space. It's a creature we couldn't possibly understand, and it's technology.
Yeah, but then you could then apply that to the demon idea from this example here. It would then be another creature that you don't understand and that you've never encountered anything like it before. And yeah, the sci-fi aspect of it doesn't lean too heavily into the sci-fi in the sense that like we're not dealing with like wacky proton beams or crazy like technology that needs to be explained in the context of the plot. It's literally just a ship that they're on that's traveling, stops at a place, they encounter the alien, and then they're getting hunted through the ship by it. Like it could just as easily be on a modern day like sailing ship or whatever, and you'd have the same kind of situation. You'd have the same basic story structure to it.
Yeah, but take like The Matrix or Westworld. It's like, what genre are those? One of them starts as like a Western, but then it tricks you because it's actually sci-fi. And then the other one is like, it's contemporary drama, and you're like, no, sci-fi, and you're like, oh,
yeah, but then that has, yeah, I know, but like something like The Matrix has to rely on sci-fi because you've then got people trapped inside a giant simulation. The technology and the concepts behind it are much more sci-fi oriented than Alien, for example.
Yeah, what I'm saying is though, is like these trappings are just, that's how we describe these films. Genre. Saying Alien is a horror film captures a lot of what's in it. Sci-fi captures the pieces that are still relevant and the way that the story is framed. I'd say I don't understand why we have to consider it is the quintessential sci-fi horror. I think it's inseparable from Alien. It's super important.
If I had to rank them, it's horror before it's sci-fi for me.
Sure.
Way before.
Yeah. But of course,
and he does describe it here as it's horror set in the future, which I think is a perfectly serviceable description of it.
I mean, sure. Again, it's just I've never thought of sci-fi as it has to be like directly connected with sort of technology that's beyond our because like I don't think someone thinks should be like ruled out of sci-fi if we actually got there. Like if 2001 we reached all the technology in that film, it's like, well, that film's not sci-fi anymore. Like, well, no, it is. Like, because that's the context of like the characters dealing with whatever troubles they have in the film and how like certain events are justified as taking place. I don't know, because like Event Horizon, right? Is you consider that a sci-fi horror, but there's like fantasy elements because of the fact that it's like hell
Yes,
that they're opening up into.
but then it's very much driven by the technology, which is it needs explaining. For example, the gravity drive is a novel piece of technology which drives the plot, which ultimately causes the horror. But the horror is then supernatural in nature, triggered by this wild piece of technology. So I think
That's
I think
why I was aiming more for the fantasy aspect for the horror, whereas Alien's justification for this creature is science fiction. We've reached parts of the world that we wouldn't be able to without interstellar technology.
sure, but then I would say it's like a sci-fi setting rather than a hard sci-fi story. Like because taking Event Horizon as an example, there, I would say, if you were to try and quantify it, like that is like, say, 70% horror and like 30% sci-fi, because like there's technological aspects that need explaining in order to facilitate the plot. Whereas with Alien, it's more like 90% horror and 10% sci-fi, because the actual technology that's at play is very, very limited. It's literally just they're on a spaceship, it lands on a planet. Like, I don't need to understand anything about how the Nostromo works as a ship. I don't need to understand any of the the weaponry that they use or anything, because it's all very, very basic stuff. Probably the only thing that's novel about it is like hypersleep, but again, that's like made pretty clear within the first minute of the movie.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's all that, but there's also like the themes of the film are related to like man's overreach into the unknown, right? And then the corporations that want us to make as much money from something that is well beyond our understanding, and the horrors that come with that is all possible through the sci-fi context. And it's not that that's the only way you could do it, but it's how Alien does it.
Yeah. No,
In
I
the same
agree.
vein, like Terminator, I assume you'd make the same argument, sort of thing, where it's like it's less sci-fi, more action versus or horror for the first one, action for the second one. But at the same time, that sci-fi is what the whole story is built on.
Again, yeah, I would say the balance is more heavily sci-fi in something like Terminator, because then you're bringing in concepts like time travel, cyborgs, things that are outside of our direct experience and need explaining within the context of the story for us to grasp
But
with
isn't
them.
the equivalent of that interstellar travel and hypersleep and all that sort of stuff?
Only the hypersleep, really. Like the rest of it, literally just a spaceship trucking along and has to land on a planet. Like that's so simple and so fundamental to like just a million other movies that we've seen. Like it doesn't require any explaining. We just intuitively understand immediately what it is and what's going on.
Well,
Like
but
literally, sorry.
most people understand time travel.
I
It's not
mean,
like they
you
explain the time
understand it.
travel. You know what I mean? Like they don't do what Endgame tries. They didn't do what Primer does. They didn't even do what Back to the Future does in T2. They just or T1 and T2. They just say, "I'm back in time, baby." Like
Back in
just that's
Well, I mean, yeah, but then you get like causality loops and stuff, which kind of feature as a major component of Terminator story.
well, yeah, that gets complicated when you add T2 on top, though, isn't it?
Well, it's complicated enough in T1, because literally, like, Kyle Reese is sent back to become the
That's
father of John Connor, and
well, yeah, and then it makes you question what the machine's strategy really was when they have all the options of time. That gets into
yeah.
criticism rather than like because
But
if someone said like really Terminator is not a sci-fi, it's just a standard slasher movie with a really strong dude like a Michael Myers type of thing. The sci-fi is really kind of just bullshit. Like it's there, but it's not really there. But I don't even like genre discussion that much, because it's like not even that important. But I do think like it is important that we maintain Alien is totally a sci-fi, and so is Terminator, even if they're not as important as like something in Star Trek or anything.
I am more than comfortable to describe Alien as a sci-fi horror movie.
That's how
I think that
that's
works
what it
fine.
is. Yeah, 100%. What is Event Horizon considered, by the way? Because it's about hell as well, right?
It's a romantic comedy. Doctor,
I'm going to check what does Wikipedia describe it as?
Must be a
Science
sci-fi
fiction
horror.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how do you account for the like demon shit?
Supernatural sci-fi horror? Is that even a thing you can do?
It just says sci-fi horror, so fair enough, I guess. But I thought maybe it would have like like Doom. Is that considered sci-fi or sci-fi fantasy? What is it when you have demons? Oh, not the film. I mean the game.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, because
I
like
mean,
Doom's about harvesting energy from hell or whatever, right? So it's like, is that That's not. Is that is
I mean,
sci-fi? But
people would.
also,
Yeah, I guess people would just classify it as a first-person shooter. Like it's like the hell
oh yeah, but
aspects of
the
it are really not.
story, first-person shooter is like third-person shooter RPG. That's describing mechanics, or like
Yeah,
the viewpoint. But I meant the story. Even though I know people don't really care to delve deep into the Doom story, I was just the only reason I use it as an example is because demons. What's demons counted as? Is it fantasy?
supernatural.
Supernatural? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, you got your money's worth out of that discussion there.
I'm gonna look
Touch
at
gradient.
demon films and see what they're considered while we
Yeah.
carry on.
A zombie, my baby, says, I've been watching on 2x speed to catch up with the stream. When the time switched back to live, you all immediately sounded very drunk. I mean, we probably were very drunk by that point, so that helped.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Lampkin says, have any of you smoked weed and watched a movie and thought it was way better than it really was? Godzilla Rides Again, for me, thought it was real. I don't tend to watch movies when I'm high, to be honest, so I've not had
Yeah,
experiences
same.
with that.
I actually don't even
So.
have an example of watching a film while high because we usually just did other things while high. Me and my friends.
Exactly. October Baby Fee says Alien Earth is actually Alien the Lower Decks. Oh god, yeah.
Ew.
Jamaican Bacon says, what would it take to make Jurassic Park great again? I mean, no, just don't make any more. Like you peaked with the first movie. You told your story. You told it really well. That was enough.
Yeah,
Lost
not
World was
to
garbage.
not to treat it like we do every franchise, but decanonize everything except the first one, and then really, really spend 2 years working on a script. Okay, I don't want to hear anything other than that. You just really look for something meaningful, but opt for what Drinker said first. Just don't.
Ace for Fun says, what a panel! The Drunkler, the Long Man, the Erotic Nerd, the Blue Collar Winner, and Robo Skull. Question, video game or comic adaptations? Cheers, fellas. Meaning, what do I want to see more of? Well, we've seen fucking every comic adaptation that's possible at this point. Yeah, I want to see video games get more of a shot.
I think
Ideally
Gary would
done well.
kill you if he was here right now for saying that. Because
I don't care. I'll fight him.
well, it's because first of all, they've not even done anything faithfully right from the comics, so all those stories get like wasted. But secondly, there's a lot more to comics than superheroes, right?
I know. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but like,
But hey, I'm biased with you in the sense of like I really want amazing adaptations of all my favorite video games. I just know we're not going to get them.
the thing is as well, like, yeah, if they were to say like, we can guarantee we're going to make a whole bunch of excellent comic book adaptations, right? From now on, we're going to do it. I'd be like, I just don't fucking care because we've had so many. I'm just burned out with the genre. I need a break from it. Come back to me in like a decade and then we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think everyone just needs a break from it. Dark Magician says, could the thing infect a chestburster before it matures, or would its alien biology and acid blood make assimilation impossible? Love you, Tipples. That's a good question, actually. Could it assimilate acid?
I'm
in
pretty sure
blood?
this question came up with the Terminator, that the thing would take over all of its skin covers, but that it can't do anything else. So the Terminator is just like, what is this?
The Terminator ended up winning our battle of monsters. Like
yeah,
when we did
because of
Open Bar 100.
but
And it was not because it was the best. It was just, it came down to the Thing and the Terminator. The Thing destroyed everything else except the Terminator. And then it just won by default. Which was
yeah,
really
because it can't deal
disappointing.
with technology really. But I suppose the interesting thing with something like an Alien versus the Thing, that's going to be down to the writer, probably, isn't it?
I guess so. Like we can't really guess at the biology behind it. I mean, the only thing I'll say is like, obviously the Thing is vulnerable to fire. And you kind of have to assume like, well, okay, highly corrosive chemicals are probably in the same league as fire in terms of like how much destruction it causes.
But would it be more generous to say that the Thing more than likely can replicate it, just like it can like stomach acid? It's a natural occurring sort of element of a creature that does biologically exist, and the Thing can basically have unlimited power when it comes to copying biological material, I think.
Potentially. I don't know how much it replicates a person on the inside, like whether they even have a stomach when they've been copied by the Thing, or they're just like external appearance.
I assume they do, or that they can, and sometimes it'll be like what it actually is, and then sometimes it'll be a horrifying mix of whatever the Thing is currently trying to use. But gun to my head, I would assume the Thing could assimilate any alien, because it's biologically naturally occurring. It's pretty overpowered, the Thing, like ridiculously kind of.
You guys have a lot of faith in the power of the Thing.
I really do. It's
Possibly
it's
too much. Has it gotten
Well,
to you, Mauler? Is it?
I think part of it is the fact that I do consider it one of the most terrifying creatures ever made in fiction. And
Yeah.
part of that is dependent on the fact that I do believe it could basically copy anything biological. So, that's my assumption from what I watched in the movie, I guess. Also, I was looking into it, and so Evil Dead, that's considered a horror comedy, and then Exorcist is supernatural horror. The Witch is folk horror, and then Sinister, that's got demons in it, I guess, as well, is supernatural horror. So
yeah,
supernatural is probably the way to describe any demon stuff.
I think so. Yeah, because where else could you go with it? Like religious horror, but then it relies on like it being strictly, the Christian version of demons, which is not necessarily what you're dealing with.
I wonder if there's a tree of genre, and you know how existential or psychological or body, these are all subcategories of horror. I wonder if like demons are a subcategory of fantasy in some way. That fantasy's the big broad umbrella that a lot of these come from, like somewhere down the line, or a combination with horror fantasy crossover, and they give you demons. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking, like, what's a good example of a fantasy horror that's not supernatural? Is there such a thing?
Fantasy horror that's not supernatural.
Because I was going to say, I wouldn't try to cross fantasy and horror, generally speaking. Anyway, like, for me, it would all fall under the category of supernatural.
The thing is, like, Lord of the Rings, that there are several, like, Shelob is fucking horrifying, right? You can crank if you chose to crank those elements of Lord of the Rings into a full-on horror movie, what would you then call that?
So, if it was Shelob, for example, or just like things like the ring wraiths, and stuff.
All those different things. If the whole movie was more focused on those things and just trying to create a horror experience instead.
I think I'd probably put that still under supernatural, because like the wraiths and stuff are all magical. Shelob is as well, because she's technically like a demon, effectively, of like the ancient world. So yeah, I'd probably put it under that category.
So is supernatural? It's just the way I'm trying to think of how the genres come together. It's like fantasy versus supernatural. Do they cross over? Do they not? They're like separate, even though I don't know. Because like an orc could be horrifying, right?
Sure. Well, they're misunderstood, really, Mo, or they just want to.
Yeah, of course, like, wives and stuff. But I was just thinking, it's like, would that be fantasy horror, or you'd switch that to supernatural the second the orc becomes too horrifying?
As a general principle, I probably would still put it under supernatural. Like, I don't know, say a fucking orc just got loose in New York or something. It was killing people. What would I call that? What would I classify that horror-wise? It would probably be supernatural. Or probably monster movie or something.
Pan's Labyrinth, you seen that?
A long time ago, yeah.
That's probably something I would be like, it's got to be fantasy horror, right? Because it's so fantasy, but then also the twinge of horror cannot be ignored, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's not a bad example, actually.
Maybe we've just found a genre that's not got enough stuff in it.
Fantasy horror, yeah. What's Google say about this? Like, if I just put in horror fantasy movies.
Yeah, because some people are saying Hellboy counts as fantasy horror.
Really, though?
I guess I see what pieces are being thought of, but
on the list here, I've got like The Lighthouse. I would not class that as fantasy horror. That's like psychological horror.
Legend, I guess. That's just fantasy, though, right?
Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, that's Sleepy Hollow is fucking supernatural. Same as Dr. Sleep. Yeah, fuck you, Google. You're lying to us. Anyway, I'll move on from that. Mr. Haywood says, "Hey lads, I really enjoyed your Resident Evil 2 playthrough earlier, Drinker. Do you guys think there has ever been a good movie adaptation of a video game?" I'm glad you enjoyed the playthrough. I'm currently doing Nemesis now. It's great.
So Arcane Season 1, probably going to be the best pick.
Yeah. I think we even talked about Last of Us Season 1 being pretty damn good.
That's going to be a high scorer considering the rest are just fucking garbage. Like, you've got an enormous pile of shit. You do have stuff like Tomb Raider, the Angelina Jolie one. That's like, oh well, that's there. That's okay. Like, it's not horrible.
Yeah, I think my opinion of that has gradually improved over the years. I've got a lot of nostalgia for it. Be interesting to rewatch it now, actually, and see how much fun it is.
Then you have
But
stuff
yeah,
like
it's-
Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter that are like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Django Blackfire says, "Could you do an EFAP on Mr. Plinkett's new Star Wars video?" Do it, Mauler.
There would be
Do
no
it.
point. It's either stuff that's been said 10 years ago and everyone agrees with, or like weird. The prequel stuff is just weird, man. People were pointing out, even in the Force Awakens video he made back in, I want to say 2016 or something, that he spends like the first half of it talking about how the prequels are bad. And it's like, bro.
Yeah, he's never quite been able to move past them, has he?
And I was really struck by it because I was like, oh, cool. He's going to do like a retrospective. And I assume he's going to have watched like all of it and he's going to start, consolidate like what has truly happened. But so much of it, because you've seen that video, right? Have you?
Yeah.
So much of it was just like, yeah, everyone's talked about this ages ago, man. And then some weird attempts at defending the Acolyte. I did not expect that. It was like a jump scare. And then just loads of stuff about, hey, the prequels are still shit, by the way. It's like, okay, fine. It's been a while, man.
Yeah.
It's like 26 years since Phantom Menace came out. And
I
by
know,
the way,
it's like, let
before
it
someone
go.
says like, oh, wow, well, so we're not allowed to talk about things that it's like, no. I know his opinions on the prequels, like, thoroughly. He's done really big, awesome videos about deep diving into them. I don't know why we're wasting time talking about them in a 45-minute video about the state of Star Wars currently with all the material that Disney has done. That's what I thought we were going to be talking about. But no, he wanted to circle back to the prequels again. I was like, all right, fine. I still watch the whole thing and I still love the channel. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Rhonda PG says, question to you, Mauler. Have you ever wanted to do a tier list on the SCP Foundation? They're weird and terrifying nightmare fuel. It would be a fun one. Cheers to the bar, lads.
Rags is somewhat familiar with the SCP stuff. I don't know anything about it. I've just not delved into it. From what I understand, it's just a bunch of crazy ideas for monsters, basically, right?
What is SCP?
Security containment something. It's about a facility that houses a whole bunch of horrifying creatures, and each one is kind of
What's
like a
it
prompt
from?
for a horror movie. I think it started as I want to say. Well, I know there's a game version of it, but I think it would have just started as like a forum or something. I actually have no idea.
Right. Okay.
But there's like a million different ones, and to give you an example, there'll be like SCP, 13A612. It's a creature that when you look in the room, as long as you look at it, you can't see it, but whenever you look away, it'll be visible. Something like that. You just be like, oh, okay. And then there'll be a story about how it escaped and did a whole bunch of horrible shit to everybody or something. But I'm underselling it. There's some really great ideas there. I'm not going to deny it. It's just not something I've looked into.
Ryan Crawford says, I was half expecting Eddie Hitler to use his emergency lager in that episode. I had hoped that Aid Edmondson might have learned from TLJ.
I don't know those names. Am I supposed to recognize them from something?
Aid Edmondson, he was in TLJ. He was the commander of the Dreadnought.
Oh,
he was in Bottom with like Rick Mayo back in the day.
He was like notably one of the more impactful like leaders of the Disney trilogy, and he lasted like 5 minutes and then got killed.
It's like he pointed out their own mistakes. It's like, we should have launched our fighters like 10 minutes ago. Yeah, you should have. Why didn't you?
Yeah. Well, and the aggressive, assertive, and the way that I think when he realizes he's about to die, he sort of just like faces it as a sort of like, well, we lost sort of thing. And I remember being like, I would have preferred that guy to Hux. Just saying.
Yeah. Filthy Communist says, Life of Chuck was great. Thanks for the recommendation, Mauler.
I am quite fond of it, but it's got mixed opinions from different people. I think I mentioned I'd be curious what you think of it if you get a chance to see it.
If I do. Snarky says, what up, Gary? Gary says, hi. Dr. Quagsire says, the deafening disinterest of South Park's return is quite surprising. Any opinions on the season or want to avoid it? You've watched it, Mauler. I haven't.
I've loved South Park since the beginning, and I'm very likely to continue it. I said as a correction, because a lot of people said like, oh, they make fun of people, they make fun of everyone, do they? And I was like, well, they piss off everyone. I don't think there's anybody on Earth that hasn't disagreed heavily with something that they've done at some point. And they're going hard on Trump, But like, that's not the only thing these episodes have in them. I've thoroughly enjoyed some of the jokes related to like AI or the Tegrity Farm storylines, all the stuff to do with Randy. I always love, and Butters and Cartman as well. Like the thing that had me in stitches was Cartman basically being so upset that Woke is dead because he doesn't know how to piss people off anymore. He doesn't know what to do. Like shit like that. I still find extremely entertaining. So I'm more than happy. I know a lot of people aren't, and hey, I don't know. To each their own. I'm a ride or die with South Park. I've been watching it since I could remember.
118 says, whatever, just because, in typical drinker fashion. That's how we like it. Thank you. BTEX says, remember that time Boba Fett killed 25 innocents? Oh, what's that a reference to?
Is that something that happened in his show? I'm trying to remember. Or is it something he used to? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Are we talking about another maybe Star Wars character that did kill a bunch of innocent people and like comparing it to Boba Fett, who actually was just a really efficient bounty hunter back in the day? I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Branchu says, good day, gentlemen. Today I turned 40. Like Gary, I'm now become old. Just wanted to give something back and say thanks to everything you do and I've done over the years. Hope there's many more. Thank you, man, and happy birthday to you. Or belated birthday. Grant says, you're stuck in isolation. Whose filmography are you going to take with you? Arnold, Sylvester Stallone, Tom Cruise, or Harrison Ford?
Wait, was that who's the better actor?
No, it's just like, okay, so you're stuck in a bunker or something. You can only take one of these actors' entire filmographies with you to watch.
Ooh. You know, there's a lot of movies from both of them I still haven't seen.
Yeah, I feel like Tom Cruise has done so many that it would keep you going the longest. I
mean, as I'm maybe this is a silly question, but I just would have thought Harrison Ford has done a shit ton as well, right?
But how many of them are good?
Well, same for Cruise to an extent.
I don't know, man. If I had to,
he's been in loads of good movies.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Cruise. You know, much as I love Arnold, he's not done that many movies when you add it all up.
You might be right, actually. I just never thought about it. Like who's done more? Because he got so was the three choices?
So you got Arnold, Stallone, Cruise, or Harrison Ford.
Right.
So I feel like Harrison Ford fucking hates making movies, and so doesn't make that.
Harrison Ford does have a chunk more credits as actor credits. I mean, so I guess he has been in. Not that it's a huge surprise, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right on. Tom Cruise is probably weighted for better quality overall. I think.
Because a lot of them are super rewatchable in his case. Like, you know,
you get Tropic Thunder with him, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And you get Collateral, you get all the Mission Impossibles.
Few Good Men. And of course, of Rain Man. You can watch that a million times for sure. Hey, legend. The one for me to consider is just, I need to check through Arnie. It would be between Tom Cruise and Arnie, I think.
Yeah. There could be a lot of fun with Arnie, but I think it's more limited. Because he's made quite a few shit movies in his time.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And it could be Tom Cruise is the winner, yeah. I think I would have to choose him if I was forced, but I would have to think about it for a while otherwise.
Snex says, would you rather see Jurassic Alien, a xenomorph infects the dinosaurs? That'd be amazing, actually. Or Jurassic Destination, some dinosaurs survived and now death is after them. The dinosaurs have to figure out a way to outsmart death.
Probably the first one, yeah.
A dinosaur morph. A xenosaur. Yeah, a xenosaur, I guess.
Easily do that, by the way, because they just need to go to a planet that has life that looks kind of like dinosaurs and an alien gets on there. You know, that's simple as that.
Yeah. Starbucks Meg says, what's your thoughts on the Fallout Season 2 trailer?
Ugh.
There you go. Sword of Rome says, Mauler, in your Mortal Kombat EFAP, you stated that if they make a sequel to Mortal Kombat 21, you will make an episode for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I hope you're a man of your word.
100%, and you're invited to that, Drinker. We're going to do them back to back. The original Mortal Kombat 2 and then the new Mortal Kombat 2.
What, just to watch together or like a...
Well, EFAP movies.
Right. Might well do that. Skeleton Gentleman says, I think the deleted alien scene with Dallas being placed next to Brett's half-egg body works better if it's placed directly after Ripley finds Parker and Lambert's bodies for pacing reasons. I don't know where it sat within the original movie because I've only seen the scene in isolation. I've never seen it as part of the original film. Yeah, it was presumably after she's about to set the self-destruct. So it's after Parker and Lambert get killed. It is a really cool scene, though. It's a shame
Fucking
they
horrifying.
took it out. Yeah, it kind of gives you a bit more insight into how the alien can reproduce as well. But like, yeah,
I could imagine opting to. What do you know the given reasons? For some reason, I've forgotten. Like why they got rid of it.
it's pacing, I think.
Because not that long.
I know, but like, say she's at the point of setting the self-destruct, like really things need to move super fast from that point on. It's a race against time, and having her stop there because there's something like that in Alien 2, right? Where she goes into the nest and she finds Burke. Yeah, again, it would have slowed it down and probably just distracted us from what was going on.
Yeah, the Burke one I think is more forgivable in terms of like removing it because of the pacing aspect. But hey, you know, brilliant movies.
He has a follow-up here. She would be torching the hive both because she doesn't know what it is. It might impede her escape route later, and because Dallas told her to kill him, even if it's against the law. Callback.
I did always, even as a kid, because the notion of setting people on fire, ask you to kill them, I was always like, that sucks.
Pretty bad way to go.
Yeah, it's horrific, man. At the point of being like, no, just leave me. Actually, just leave me.
Put me out.
I'll just blow up with the ship. Don't burn me.
Yeah, exactly. Drake Timbershaft says Nia DaCosta's 28 centuries later. Yeah,
hell yeah.
Get there. I'm not excited about that movie. Snarky says, thanks for filling in for VR. Love the accents. You guys are awesome and all over the fucking place. We are. We love it.
Yeah.
Peter O'Hanrahan says, which group would you be most successful joining? So to be a high-ranking member. Okay, so you join this group and you work your way up the ranks. So what would be the easiest? The Galactic Empire, the Union of Allied Planets, or the United Citizen Federation? I feel like I could fit in quite well in the Galactic Empire. I'd be down with what they're doing.
I was just with each of these, I'm just like, how would I climb? Because like, if you start out as a fucking stormtrooper or whatever, you'd be like, ugh, how do I?
You'd have to at least be in at a sort of junior officer level, wouldn't you, to stand a chance of not dying?
At that point, I think, yeah, you should be able to climb that ladder pretty efficiently. And, you know, most stuff in the galaxy isn't exciting wars; it's just bureaucracy. Yeah, so
as we found out in Andor, yeah. I think if they were like the First Order, it'd be super easy to climb the ranks. Just don't fucking like walk off a cliff or blow something up, and you probably get promoted super quick. Like the one competent guy in the entire organization.
Yeah, it'd be really easy at that point. Yeah.
Gramps Law says, you have a big 4K OLED HDR TV and you want to rewatch Star Wars and have time. Which ones do you watch? In what order? Which version or quality? I mean, the only ones I'd be interested in watching are the OT, the original versions, not the fucking butchered George Lucas fuck-up ones from the 90s.
Despecialized.
Yeah, and if I have to like lose a bit of like quality picture-wise for that, so be it. I can handle some film grain.
Yeah, same answer.
Jay Fraser says, hail gents, interesting premises from different genres for the finalists for the Trial by Fire short film competition. I can't wait to vote for it. Yes, indeed. The voting is going to open in a couple of days, actually. So you're looking forward to seeing which one wins. It's going to be sad in a way because they're all really good entries. Sharp Sticks says, blue collar, there are only 2 Indiana Jones movies, 3 Star Wars movies, 2.25 Aliens movies. Gary agrees with me. No, fuck off. There's 3 Indiana Jones movies. All 3 of them
hang on.
are fine.
Did you say 2.5?
No, he said 2.25 Aliens movies. So I guess they're saying the first 2 are great, and maybe a quarter of the third one has potential.
Oh, sure. What was said? Sorry, what was said about Indiana Jones? Is what I meant.
He says there's only 2.
Really?
I can see why people are a bit down on Temple of Doom, but like
I love Temple of Doom.
Yeah, it's still a really good fucking movie, and yeah, I'm happy for the first 3 Indiana Jones movies to be preserved forever.
Temple of Doom is nowhere near bad enough to not be considered an Indiana Jones movie through and through.
Surely
Yeah.
Gary doesn't agree with that
That
sentiment.
doesn't.
Maybe he
I could have
maybe he was
sworn he
tight.
doesn't. Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Fortnite Kid says, do you think Supergirl would do better than Spider-Man Brand New Day next year? No. Fuck no.
No,
Brand New Day will do well, just because the...
really well, and it's going to make everyone be like, "Wait a minute, superheroes aren't dead." And it's like, no, they are.
They're so
Spider-Man's
black,
different.
baby.
Spider-Man's different.
Grant says, you're tasked with making an animated adaptation of a live-action movie. What movie are you adapting, and what style do you make it? Okay. So... what lends itself pretty well? I don't hate the idea of an animated Lord of the Rings, which I know is what they
Yeah,
tried back in the 70s. Obviously, it was a much goofier version. And we got a superb live action version, but I think you could definitely have an animated version that would look fantastic by today's standards. You know, they tried to do a bit of that with the War of the Rohirrim. It's just it was a shit story. But yeah, I think that would lend itself pretty well.
it was. They said movies, right?
Yes.
Specifically, because I always want to suggest that I believe Firefly could exist again, but it would have to be animated at this point.
Because they're so old.
But that's the thing. You can make them young when they're animated.
You can,
You
yeah.
just
We
need
could do
their
that.
voices. But
Jay
then you also need
Fraser?
a writer.
Yes. Something I don't think Joss Whedon's available now.
No.
Do you think he'll ever have a renaissance or a redemption arc?
Seems like everybody firmly despises him. I don't know. I just don't know what that route looks like. The main thing that would have to happen is for him to put in some effort into re-entering public life, which doesn't seem he wants to.
Yeah, I think he's just done. He's like, man, kind of made my
Seems
money.
that
I
way, yeah.
don't need to come back, so what's the point? Jay Fraser says, the blessing and curse of red letter media is that they're isolated in their own corner of YouTube. However, when they try to understand current day pop culture beyond the black void, they come off as out of touch boomers. You're actually so fucking right with that. It's kind of scary.
Yeah,
I do love them, but like, yeah, they are totally in isolation. They've obviously made a point of like, we're not fucking engaging with any other content creators in any meaningful way, and we're just doing our own thing. And that's fine if you're just reviewing individual movies, but when you try to leap back into this really like entrenched online pop culture debate on something like Star Wars, and you just give like 10-year out of date fucking opinions, you're not going to get much traction there.
they clearly like their passion is really shitty, like 80s and B movies and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, just stick to it. Nobody needs to hear what you have to say about, you know, the Acolyte being like the prequels. It's all good. We can just move on.
Yeah. Paul Connolly, question for Drinker and or Mauler. Galadriel's defenders cite Eowyn's character as inspiration. So my question is, why is Eowyn not a girl boss and Galadriel is? This one again.
We gave a very long answer on the stream, I think, for this one.
Did we actually talk about this? I must have been really
Yeah, we all
drunk at
gave
the
like
time.
different perspectives as well. It was almost certain we did a lot for this one.
Okay, cool. I'll take your word for that. If by chance we haven't, then Paul Connolly, you have a right to sue us for wasting your super chat there. But I hope we did answer it at great length. Land Far Away says, Mauler and Drinker, since Luthen is part of the same rebellion as General Ice Cube and Wade from Kenobi, what do you think they would talk about? What, just hanging out?
Who are the people exactly? Because Wade is that fucking guy who they all cry over dying when we didn't even know he was.
No, Wade!
So
and General
funny.
Ice Cube.
Who's General Ice Cube? Oh, right, from War of the Worlds, yeah?
Well, no, it says like he's part of the same rebellion. Was Ice Cube in Star Wars, like in a Star Wars show that I don't fucking know about?
There's no way he was. I was
Well,
just saying, was he a general in War of the Worlds? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Wait, so Ice Cube was in Kenobi. Well, this is in r/Star Wars. Ah,
No
right.
way.
Okay. No, it's his son.
Oh.
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so his son was in Kenobi, apparently. So we can't answer that question now. It's completely null and void. But yeah, let's take Wade as the example then. Yeah, what do you think they talk about? I think Wade would talk about is being a fan favorite, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sterling career that he had, like the real impact he made on the story.
100%. Yeah.
Luthen would be like, "That's just really interesting. Thanks for talking to me." Lil Rapnik says, in the Squid Season 3 EFAP, you guys missed that the baby would have never been in the game or a player if Junhee had just left it on the bed like she almost did, but she thought it would be safer in the game.
I don't know what would have happened if they left. I don't know if they would have killed it. I have no idea. The show
Kind of seems...
is insane with what it's doing with that baby. It takes ages for them to address it, and then they're just like, "Oh, it's a player." It's like, what are you talking about? That's
Yeah,
insane.
because stuff like that seems to be at the whim of like the paying guests, doesn't it? Like, but then we're never sure how much say they have over other aspects of the game because they just get introduced halfway through the season.
They clearly had an idea, and it was, what if Squid Game ended with a baby winning? And the point was that everybody sacrificed everything to ensure that baby lived, and the fucking story suffered for it because they did not work it properly at all.
Yeah. And was the baby grateful? No, it wasn't. Asshole.
No.
Kickstar says, Gary, I've officially started my Hot Toys collection. 2012 Avengers Captain America. Love it and will get more. God help my bank account. Hot Toys are pretty awesome. I will say the attention to detail in them is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have many, but just, you know, I've got a couple of Resident Evil ones, and it's like, makes me happy every time I walk by them. Jay Fraser says, for open bar guests, I recorded the podcast. Brian and Shane make nerdy documentaries for cult shows and are regulars on Salty Saturdays on the Salty Nerd. Well, nice. Excellent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wave Rider says, did any of you watch the new Jackal TV series, and what did you think? I got like 2 episodes into it, and I was bored out of my mind, so no. Lashana Lynch is the death of fun in that show.
I thought you were just going to say in general.
Yeah. Yeah, she might be in real life. I don't know. Luke Larson just says, Kal-El, no.
Classic.
It's never going to be forgotten. Chindley Muffin says, hey, Drinker, did you know there's a new series on you? What's this? On the You and Yesterday channel. It's called Billy Connolly Does, and it's about different subjects. So what, just him talking about things?
I thought he'd stopped now because I assume you saw the documentary, right?
Yeah, he's getting a bit frail these days, isn't he?
I said, I might be. Does he got Alzheimer's or something? He's got something that's
Parkinson's.
Oh, Parkinson's. Yeah. So I remember the notion was like this will be the last time we see him, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think he's choosing the right path there. But yeah, not sure if this is just going to be like old clips from his stand-up routines and stuff. I mean, that guy was on fire like for decades. He was a great comedian.
It's fucking hilarious. Yeah.
James Moore says Mass Effect series is overrated but fun and worth playing. The first Mass Effect is the best, and Rex is the best boy throughout the trilogy. Odd Mimic. Isn't Smallville unironically the show with the best character work for Clark and his family? Some of the villains of the week are goofy, but Clark and Lexi's relationship is super interesting. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Smallville. It was never my thing back in the day, but people seem to look
Smallville
back
did loads of things really well, and then it also it had lots of silly cringe in it because it's just one of those TV shows that's running extensively. A lot of people working really hard to pump out as much as possible as quickly as they can. So, there's weird stuff, but I remember liking it. There's lots of stuff in there that's really good.
It had like a super long run as well, didn't it?
10 seasons.
Yeah. Damn.
Popular. And they covered a lot of stuff. Like all the Superman villains are in there, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, Superman must have been straight up fucking old by the end of it.
Well, it's supposed to be, they kind of ran it a bit further than they probably were expecting to, but he does, he's Superman by the end of it.
Larry says, made you look. The reason Corey Olson, the Tolkien professor, shilled so hard for Rings of Power is because they are 8 seasons into writing a Silmarillion show. Really?
8 seasons? Damn.
Jesus. OMG Puppies. War of the Worlds is a great book, vivid descriptive writing. Still no true to book film adaptation. H.G. Wells intended it as an allegory about British imperialism, Martians as neoconservatives. well, there you go. You think so many times it's been adapted over the years, someone would have got it right, but there you go. And Arlani says, Mauler, so A24 is making an Elden Ring movie. Just like Zelda, how are they going to write it? Non-speaking protagonist, Souls games in a movie, help.
It's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be
terrible. I mean, you're going to need a lot of budget, aren't you, if you're going to do Elden Ring? Because the landscapes and the visuals alone are going to be insane.
Nah,
Not to
man.
mention all the creatures and everything.
Green screen.
Yay.
Woo.
Yeah. That is going to suck. Anyway, right there, that is the last of the super chats, my friends. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for your patience as well as your generosity for giving us an extra week to get this done. But we made it in the end. And that right there is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.